Hello and welcome to KamenRider Blackman. Been a while since I did a video, and today we are finally getting to do something well known, and it is our third non-Sentai and non-KamenRider review, Denkou Choujin Gridman. Alright, this show is so well known, either for what it is or because of Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. And it's out, it's subbed, I finally got to watch it, and now I am ready to review it. But a few things first before getting into the actual review. This isn't going to be like any of my usual reviews, because I did have a full script all prepared for this video, but then I think it got accidentally deleted somehow and I couldn't recover it. So instead, instead of a review, it's going to be a bit of a summary of what goes on in the show, my personal thoughts and everything. And they've been categorized from good to bad. Well, yeah, they're categorized in a good and bad territory. And so, with that said, one more thing before getting into the review. I found that Denkou Choujin Gridman is subbed on YouTube and in English, and the channel where it's on is called Gridman Alliance, so shout out to them. Go check that out if you actually want to watch the show. And with that said, let's get started. And so, this review's been categorized in a good category and a bad category. So we're going to start off with the good. So the first thing to talk about is the opening. The opening of this show, it's so amazing that I'm surprised that it isn't iconic. Or maybe it is, but it's a bit underrated because the beat is amazing. Especially the chorus. It goes, Gridman, baby dan dan, baby dan dan, na da na na. And the beginning beat too. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. And you want to know what's so great about this song? It's that it's maybe 25, 24, somewhere in the 20s years old, and yet it feels a little dated, but it's still a great song. It still feels a bit modern, and it's upbeat. And I think that's what makes the song so great. It has that upbeat vibe for an action show, and it's amazing. And the ending theme for the show too, it's meh. Like, it's not bad, like, it's alright, but the opening just does it for the rest of the music in this show. Alright, so next part of the summary, I guess, we talk about our... Alright, I'm basically going to explain the premise. Well, I'm going to talk about the first episode now, and then I'm going to give in my thoughts for the second and third episodes. So, how the show starts is there are these three kids, Naoto, Epei, and Yuka, who are three computer geniuses who actually build a computer. And before then, they just work on it, do computer art, actually build an actual computer. And then we have this other kid named Takeshi. More on him later. But for right now, I'll explain. But for right now, I'm going to say it. Takeshi is one of the villains of the show. He is discovered by. He's discovered by the actual main villain of the show, Kanjifa, as he uses him to create a monster to basically cause havoc in the computer world, which will translate into causing havoc in the human world. And the first time this happens is when Naoto's little brother is actually in the hospital and is supposed to be having a surgery right now, but the monster goes into the hospital's computers and basically it basically interrupts the surgery so it won't happen. And with Naoto's little brother's life on the line, they try to see what they can do from their computer called Junk to see if they can find out what's wrong with the hospital computers and see if they can hack in to solve the issue there. And in the middle of trying to see what's going on, then on their screen, they are discovered by the hyper agent Gridman from the computer world, who explains that Kanjifer is behind this, and that he needs to fuse with Naoto so that he can stop the monster and so that Naoto can save his brother. And so they fuse, and they become, well, the hero of the show, Denkou, Choujin, Gridman. Now, the first episode is amazing because it immediately makes the villains a legitimate threat. The fact that their first assault was on a hospital with not just Naoto's little brother, but billions of other people too, that's very damn impressive for the first episode. And the concept of the show alone, like, in order to protect everything that's happening out in our world, they have to go into the computer world where the monsters are actually hacking the systems and wreaking havoc there, which will translate into terrorism out here. That is actually pretty dang cool because how I describe it, it's just pretty dang cool. Like the whole because computers were big in the 90s, and so that whole interdimensional world travel aspect, it really makes the show stand out a lot more. And now, not to mention, let's also talk about the goal of the villains too. Kanjifer's goal is he wants to take over the computer. He's already taken over, different dimensions or such from the computer world, but his whole goal is that he wants to cause havoc and hack. What he really wants to do is come into our world and take over from there. And in the second episode, he's actually pretty dang close to doing so with this huge portal coming out. And there's this one monster, I believe, fighting Gridman while that's happening. And the portal is like right there open, and Gridman and the monster are both fighting it out to see if they'll actually make it out or not. But luckily they don't. But the fact that they were so close on the second episode, holy crap, I was at the edge of my seat watching what was happening. But yeah, this show has a great start. It establishes the villains as something to take seriously, how fighting the monsters works, and it helps that the characters are actually pretty likable. And they all do play their roles. Naoto is the one doing the fighting, and Yuka is the one maintaining the junk, their computers, so that while Gridman's fighting, he can still be mobile and making sure that their computer stays functional. And Ippei actually invents their arsenal as well. Speaking of which, let's actually talk about Gridman's design. Let's let me pull it up for a second. Here it is. Gridman, it looks pretty good. It looks cool. I don't particularly know what's my favorite part of the suit. Oh, here's something that's interesting. I think I found something. No, I got it. But anywho, I like the suit. It's a bit Ultraman-esque because of the red and silver, but because of the armoring that it has on, it stands out a lot more. Like, one of the reasons why I personally like Ultraman Taiga's base suit is because it's actually something that stands out. And I think it's because of that, because of how I think of how like the silver on the chest is. It's a bit Dragon Shield-esque. And it makes me like it a lot more. But with Gridman, he looks pretty dang cool. Like like the changer that he has on his wrist, it's a different color in the computer world, and it looks a lot better that way in my opinion. And everything with it, it's just pretty spot on. If I was to make a... Yep, it looks cool. And like what I said, Ippei actually creates Gridman's arsenal. And so what he actually designed... And so... Let's actually talk about Gridman's, well, weapons now. Because he gets a sword and shield combo. And he actually gets another sword called the Gridman sword, which can actually become a sword and a battle axe, to which I like very much because it reminds me of Caliber from the Gridman anime. Oh yeah, the Gridman Caliber. That's what it reminds me of. And that's what this is also based off of because of the design. And so, yeah, I'm still talking about the Gridman sword. I really like the design. It looks awesome. I like how the sword is shaped. I love the fact that it can become a battle axe. One thing that's a bit disappointing, though, is that he doesn't really use it often or at all. Because most times when he needs a weapon, he'll just go straight to the sword and shield. And it's just... Actually, no, yeah, he'll just go straight to the sword and shield. But I really like that sword, though. It looks amazing. Alright, so there's that. And... Alright, just give me a second. Now I'm just good. Let's see, what else are we talking about? Oh, yeah. Alright, let's see what we went over so far. Talk about the opening and the concept. And let's see here. Okay, yes. Alright, next. Alright, now I see where we're at next. At this point now, we could honestly skip around a bit. And if I had my script right now, we would be skipping around a bit too, because we're going to tiptoe a little bit on the bad. This show is 39 episodes, and for the most part, not a lot really happens. It's just Monster of the Week after Monster of the Week. And even when some important stuff happens, like, it doesn't really amount up to anything or matters at all. And this is something I'm going to mention right away now. Of course, if you've looked up a Gridman, then you know that he also has individual mechs. But one bad part about them, well, one bad aspect of them is that their introduction episodes are pretty weak because they're treated more like just standard filler as opposed to, well, this is a new mech, this is a new weapon that'll help us save the world. Like, there's no grandeur to their introductions. Speaking of which, let's talk about those individual mechs right now. Let's see here. There is Thunderjet, Twin Driller, and God Tank. Now, I like Twin Driller. And what the mechs do to begin with is before they do anything else, they're there to fight alongside, they're there to support and fight alongside Gridman by actually distracting or stalling the monster just on their own. Just on their own. Which, by the way, is another neat thing to mention. I like the fact that Ippei actually, like I said, Ippei is the one who designs their mechs. And so it's really refreshing seeing like the supporting cast actually, well, it's nice. How do I describe it? When Gridman's out on the battlefield, he actually has a team behind him, like, to back him up and actually support him out in battle. Hence the mechs and his weapons. With most show, I'm really thinking about KamenRider when that comes to mind. Like most leading characters that are connected to the main writer, most times or not, they don't really contribute or do much. Like, usually they're just plot points for a story later on. But in some rare cases, like Kuga, where the police are constantly working to fight the monsters, or heck, in this case, 01, where Izu is, on occasion, will actually create a new progress key for Aruto. It's just refreshing to see like the characters on the sideline actually help out in the battle. And you want to know what's another good example of this? Ultraman Mebius with guys. Although they would take a little bit of a backseat because they just fly jets and shoot the monsters, and Ultraman Mebius is the one who actually, well, defeats the monsters. But I like this a bit more because they're in their own way fighting alongside Gridman. Speaking of which, of fighting alongside Gridman, like the assist weapons can actually come together and form their own mech called God Xenon. And they can also combine with Gridman to create a new form for him. But for right now, let's talk about God Xenon. I like it. The colors are fine for the most part, but I like the head, and I like that it's the auxiliary Zords. It's like having a boy mech there to. It's basically having a boy mech there to assist, or heck, if Gridman is completely incapacitated or something, the boy mech can stand in and fight off the monster, which actually has happened before. Oh yeah, and also another thing to mention about God Xenon. It actually, in one episode, I don't remember what episode number, but it does get destroyed at one point, but it gets fully repaired and comes back later because Ippei is designing it on his computer so he can just, well, remake it like with CG art. So yeah. And so the combination form, Thunder Gridman, it's pretty cool. I like that. I really like I really like all the angles on this suit, from the shoulders to the helmet to the gear. Gridman's a legitimate Megazord, and it's awesome. And one of the further reasons why I wish Gridman was like an ongoing franchise, like Ultraman and Sentai, so that we can see more giant heroes like that, because we have a giant superhero that can actually fight the monsters, and heck, just for a little something, if you're a fan of Power Rangers, he even has his own Zords to even make him more stronger. So something worth watching for, as well as toy sales. But yeah, Thunder Gridman, it's astonishingly beautiful. And I like and the colors are just, they're good. They're completely spot on for this. They're completely spot on for that combination and for armor. All right, let's see here. What's next? Oh, and even when God Xenon is out for the time being, Gridman gets another assist mech to fight alongside him, which is, I believe, 3 individual vehicles that come together to make Dyna Dragon. Now, let me pull up my phone again and pull it up, Dyna Dragon. And here we go. Ah, here it is. This looks amazing. Like, the individual mechs of it, they have their own names, but they don't matter for the most part, well, to me. But when they combine together, they make something glorious. It's like I know I said that the assist weapons are basically Zords. Well, this is an actual Zord, since it's a mother-loving dragon. Like, the Dragon Zord is jealous, and it looks so cool. And that's not all. It can even combine and make Gridman's, well, I want to say final form, King Gridman. Now this combination is all hell yes. I love everything. This really makes me appreciate all the colors that are a part of it. The orange, the blue, the gold. I love everything that's a part of it. Yeah, the shoulders are a bit huge, but I don't give a shit, because those arms are still bulky and powerful. And the head. Oh, praise the head. It looks so legit. And also, it's like a crown, and this is called King Gridman. Ah, I love it. I just love it. I can't help it. I love it. All right. And now, with that said, now we're going into the bad. Now, what are the bad we just went through the good aspects of the show. Now let's get to the bad aspects of the show. There's, like what I said before, there's way too much filler in a 39 episode show. Not a lot happens, and nothing really adds up to anything. Like, and what really, okay, I think I'm going to be all over the place when I say this. The villains are what ruined the show. Like, Takeshi, he's not an interesting kid villain. He's just creepy. He has kind of a crush on Yuka, but on the other hand, if this is going to be this is completely my opinion and my opinion alone. But I think this kid, I think he has like a social disorder, because he cannot interact with people. at all. And and if he's supposed to come off as misunderstood, it doesn't help. It doesn't help with the fact that he comes off as so unlikable, and makes me want to step like 3 feet away from him. Like, he comes off as unlikable. He when he comes up with a monster of the week, it's from something petty, and it's just, he's Squidward. Like, he's basically Squidward if he was a child. And Kanjifa is so stupid not to recognize his pettiness, and which makes me think there's even one episode. It's just yeah. Like, Takeshi, he is such an eyesore, and Kanjifa should know this. And he should have thought better before picking a child to help him try to take over the world. And it's just, well, bad. The villains and their reasonings for the plots of the week, they bring the show down for me. They make it boring, they make it uninteresting. The villains made watching this show a chore. Now, back to what I was saying about there being too much filler. Like, I get, like, with the concept of the show that the monsters go into computers to wreak havoc, and they'd make whatever technology go haywire. Yeah, in some cases, like most of the time, not all computers aren't connected into most devices and machines. Like computers aren't connected to like microwaves and hair dryers and bulldozers. Computers aren't connected like technology-wise, and just like it literally makes me think, okay, like, let me give an example. Say that if a monster was to attack my TV by making it, well, explode. Computers don't work that way. Like, a TV exploding would have nothing to do with the connection of a computer, and that's what most of the filler episodes are. They don't make sense in one way or another. Ugh. And not to mention, while the villains completely do bring the show down, Kanjifer is a meathead. That's the first example of one of the worst things in this show. The second is its attempts at comedy, which comes off as, well, raunchy, because they're doing this with preteens, essentially. I particularly don't find it funny watching Takeshi watch Yuka get undressed. And I also don't find it funny that Takeshi gets sexually assaulted by a homosexual. Mind you, these kids are supposed to be 13 going on 15. It's very, the show thinks that being edgy is funny, and really it just makes me uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable, and it makes me want to turn off my computer. And so, okay, next. Oh crap, I need like a drink of water first, but this is all I have, Pepsi. Alright. Oh, okay. I've been going at this now for 30 minutes, but okay, here it goes. The last two episodes. In episode 38, after another monster fails, Kandijifer has had it with Takeshi and tells him, "Get out of here. You are useless to me. I'm going to take over the world by myself." And no. Just no. Like, it's way too late for him to just now be that upset by it. You had, like, up until now to call him out on his bullshit, and it's way too late. It makes Kandijifer look more stupid than he even is, because he's basically the generic standard gravelly voice main villain who does nothing the entire time except brings the monsters to life. Like, he's done nothing. Like, after a while, he just stopped being threatening, and I just eventually just stopped taking him seriously. And once I even got up to episode 38, I just went no the entire time and stopped caring. Because now Kanjijifer is going after Gridman himself, because he decided not to do that for the last 30 plus episodes, and it's the second to last episode, and so now he's trying to be intimidating again, and it's just no, it does not work. And so episode 39, the last episode, it's also not interesting at all. Gridman, well, one, they find out that Takeshi affiliates with Kandijifer, and that Kandijifer just abandoned Takeshi. And what else? Gridman fights Kandijifer. He gets his ass beat the first time. Then the assist weapons go to help them, and then their whole arsenal then Gridman's whole arsenal just gets destroyed. But it doesn't matter because Gridman beats Kandijifer anyway, and show's over. And so afterwards, Takeshi is completely forgiven, and they all become friends. Although they really shouldn't be, because this entire time he's been unlikable and worth not associating with. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, and when the show was finally over, I just went, "Oh, thank God, it's over." Because I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything for the characters I like. I didn't feel anything for the villains. I didn't feel anything for the whole scenario. I didn't like anything. I was just glad that the show was over. But since we just talked about the whole show right now, let's get to the characters. Finally, let's get this over quicker. So, Naoto. I like him. Like, he like I said, he did the most. He was the one out there doing the fighting. And there are some cases with him where having like a dual identity really weighs on him, because there are some times where his family is in danger and he has to leave to go fight the monster. And his family sees him as unreliable. But in reality, he is super reliable, and he is fighting to keep everything and everyone safe. It's just, And not to mention, these are with children. Like, these are with preteens. And having so much pressure, not just with school, but with needing to freaking save the whole planet, it really weighs them down and stresses them out. But Naoto was the one who persevered the most, and that's why I like him very much. Oh, not to mention, I at least should mention this too. They all have their families and siblings. Naoto has a little brother, and it's just his mom. It's just him, his mom, and his dad. Ippei has his has a little sister, and it's them and their parents. And Yuka has a older brother, and I believe they also her parents. Speaking of which, of Yuka, let's talk about her. I like her. She's the heart of the team. And I believe at 1.2, it was when Thunder Gridman was introduced. The writers, I would have actually think that there was a little bit of a romance between Yuka and Naoto, because in the episode where Thunder Gridman is introduced, like, Naoto is injured and unconscious, and they kiss. And not to mention, it doesn't go anywhere, but there are some pretty subtle signs that they both like each other. I just wish that they did more with it, because I actually like the two of them together as a couple. But yeah, Yuka, she's sympathetic, she's the smart one. Like, she's willing to give who supposedly is the bad guy a good chance, because she is the heart of the team, while still managing to give and see reason. So next, Ippei. Ippei is not bad. Ippei's not bad. Ippei, he's basically a bro. He likes girls. He wants to be a famous CG artist when he gets older. And there's actually one episode where he meets his role model, and like I said, he creates the arsenal. He's extremely useful, but he's also not a bad character. That's the thing too with all of them, with the three of them. They're not bland. Like, they're pretty responsible kids. Like, they do care about their families. Like, in the third episode, where both Naoto's little brother and Ippei's little sister were both, like, trapped somewhere, and they couldn't call to tell them where they are because of a monster. Like, while Gridman's out fighting the monster, Ippei and Yuka are out looking for their little siblings, and they managed to find them and still save the day. So yeah, these kids aren't bland. They're good kids. They're likable. They don't come off as generic because of what they do and how much they actually contribute to the cause. These are three good kids. But unfortunately, the show is not good. Like, I like the kids and I like the concept, but what really weighs the show down are the villains. Just, these are not good villains. Takeshi was unlikable. Kandijifer was the worst. He's basically comparable to, like, any Neo Saban era Power Rangers villain, and that's not a good thing. But yeah, Denkou, Choujin, Gridman, it's not a good show at all. It's not a good show at all. But if you want to check it out and see how it is for yourself, maybe form your own opinion on it, you go do that. Like what I said, this show is on YouTube. Just look up Gridman Alliance, and all 39 episodes are there and subbed in English. And with that said, I'm going to get a cup of water. Thank you guys for watching. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share this video, and tell your friends about KamenRider Blackman. The next show I will be doing will be Choujin Metalder. And hopefully I will have the script for that, so I wouldn't have to basically sum stuff up. So look forward for that next review, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.